Hello and welcome to the Flix Forum podcast, where each episode we go back and we look at a Netflix original film in the order of release. This episode we have Netflix 267th film from 2020. It's the action comedy The Sleepover, directed by Trish Seal. It stars Sadie Stanley, Maxwell Simpkins, Ken Marino, Cree Cacino, Lucas J, Carla Souza, Inuka Okami, Eric Griffin, Joe Manganiello, and Malin Ackerman. I'm Jesse. I'm your host. I'm here to give you this episode on this Netflix original film. As always, if you're keen to check this film out, haven't seen it, this will have spoilers in it, so give us a pause and come back a little bit later on, because we kick the show off with the Fast Flicks, where we do a quick little summary of what the film is all about. So this one, it's about a sleepover that goes wrong when two siblings and their friends have to try and save their kidnapped parents. Yes, this is a family film. I wasn't expecting that coming into it, but so this one's one that you can probably chuck on, sit with your sort of middle-aged kids, I guess. Not real young kids, but I think there'll be quite a bit of enjoyment from a wide range of kids in this one. We do like to have a look at how this ended up on Netflix. So I guess we go back to August of 2019, where the cast was announced and production started in that same month. The actual script by Sarah Rothschild was included on the Blacklist, which we've covered before on the show with other films, but it's that annual survey of the most liked motion picture screenplays that are yet to be produced, so it was on that list. This one was filmed in and around Boston and Hanover, Massachusetts, in America. Obviously, it hit Netflix on the 21st of August 2020. It has a tagline. The tagline for this one is, "To rescue their parents, they need to get a clue." Ooh. They need to get a clue, as in they need to follow some clues and probably get a little bit of a clue about what life's all about too. Around the world, in translations around the world for this film, in Portuguese, this is called, it had two titles. So one was Pajama Mission. So this is obviously in that title, we have Sleepover in the English language, but it's also called A Crazy Night. In French and Spanish, it's called The Night We Saved Mum. I find that one very interesting because that one actually gives away quite a lot of the plot for this film. In Hungarian, it's called Night with Surprises, not bad. In Italian, it's Mum's Last Shot. So again, brings in a bit more about the mum and a bit of a spoiler for this film. In Polish, it's called Night Adventure. Russian, it's called What a Night. In Chinese, it's called Midnight Rescue. Turkish, it's called Surprise Night. And in Vietnamese, it's called Mother's Last Mission. So a few of those titles include the word mum, mother. Big spoiler from me, really, I guess, if you're going to put that in the title. This was nominated for some awards. It did win Best Music Supervision for a TV movie at the Guild of Music Supervisors Awards, and was also put on that 2021 Reframe Narrative and Animated Feature list that we see quite often. What are the critics and audiences saying about this film? So on Rotten Tomatoes, it sits at a 67% on 21 reviews, so that is actually fresh. The audience has it even a little bit higher. It's 74%. That's on more than 100 ratings. Sits at a 5.7 out of 10 on IMDb. Not too bad. That's on about 12,000 ratings. Letterboxd, our film-loving society, a little bit lower at 2.3 out of 5 on nearly 7,500 people. It's been logged by about 11,000 though. This does have a rating on Metacritic. On Metacritic, it sits on a 46 out of 100 on 9 critic reviews. So that's in the yellow in the middle band. And then if we look at the audience, it sits at a 4.9 out of 10 on 7 reviews. So also in that yellow middle band. Netflix, they gave me a percentage match for this one. They said I had a 59% chance of matching and enjoying this film. So let's lead into my early thoughts. Did I enjoy this film? The opening scenes of this film really concerned me. I don't think I was prepared for like a lame kiddie movie style slog of a film. However, after those few opening moments, I really got into it. And I think, it's quite a good family film. So some positivity from me. Let's talk about the characters in this one. So Clancy, I guess, is the daughter. She's our main character. She's this cellist, uses musical instrument. She's really good at it, but she's got stage fright. And in the same way, she's sort of scared to open up to her mother a bit about her ambitions and her desires, I guess, as a teenager, such as wanting her own mobile phone. She has this crush on this guy called Travis, but this crush really had nothing to do with the narrative. It was just sort of put in there so that she had this love interest, I guess. So very minimal from Travis in this one. Kevin, he's his little brother. Kevin is sort of, we see him at school. He's the ditzy sort of class clown. Loves to talk, loves to tell a story, sort of lets his imagination get the better of him at times. And this sort of means that, he doesn't really participate in real life because of this imaginative side of him. So I guess part of this film is a bit about him coming out of his shell, as well as his friend Lewis, who we see comes over for a sleepover. Because Lewis he's like this uptight kid who's overprotected by his mother. He's almost got this allergy to life, including not being able to control his bladder, which I guess will add to some humorous moments in this film. Mim, we meet Mim. Mim is Clancy's best friend. She's obsessed with social media, so it's just so each of the siblings have a best friend for their adventure together, I guess. Margot, the mum. Margot, if we see it, Margot, she sort of volunteers at the kids' school. She plays that hard line as a parent because she wants to always know what her kids are up to. But we sort of find out, as sort of mentioned in some of those spoiler titles, that she's been in witness protection because she's actually a master thief. Ooh. The dad's Ron. Ron's oblivious to anything that's going on in his wife's previous life. He's a pastry shop owner. Sort of reminds me a bit of those stereotypical useless dads. He provides a lot of humour in the film though, so he's there for a reason. A few other side characters. Leo, we meet along the way. Margot's ex-love interest, who she was involved in seedy crimes with. He's the one that sort of is trying to convince her to do this one last heist. And then Henry's the other sort of character I see, who's this... He's the family's witness protection connection. Really a pretty pointless role, other than that. So the director, Trish C, actually got some big films under her belt. Pitch Perfect 3, one of the Step Up sequels. I think it was Step Up All In. A few music videos for the band OK Go. So a bit of a good little catalogue there of work. Let's talk about some scenes. What are some scenes in this one that I enjoyed? Because there are a few. And I'll probably go through a few of them. So for me, I think I liked Margot, the mother. I liked her response to Kevin's bullies, her son's bullies, when she's helping out at the school. She sort of says to him, and this is probably a clue early on about her actual identity, because she's like, I'm going to, find out who your parents are. I'm going to cut the brake lines in their car, and those sorts of lines. So that was a good little intro to her as a character. Lewis, who's Kevin's friend, he gets dropped off at Kevin's house for a sleepover, and his mum sort of drops him off and sort of talks about him wetting his pants in the bed, and Kevin's dad, Ron is sitting there sort of trying to reassure him, it's okay, it happens to me too. And Lewis's mum's response is like, you should probably get your prostate checked. I thought that was a quite funny little response. Henry reveals the truth about their mum to the kids, so he's that witness protection connection. And, just funny, the kids sort of losing the plot, especially Kevin, about, the idea that maybe they're Canadian, so some little anti-Canadian sentiments. The idea of questioning if Kevin is his real name, and then they tie Henry up with Christmas lights, a bit of a Home Alone sort of reference. So that was funny. Leo's introduction, where we meet him and he just walks straight up to Margot, kisses her, while Ron's just like sitting there watching or standing there, and he's just like, this is just great. Plus, like all those other jokes about Leo having his arms out and not being able to find his sleeves because he's showing his muscles off all the time. I thought that was funny. The kids, when they find Margot's secret lab with all her weapons and stuff, and Kevin accidentally sets off the lever, which, reveals it all, and the door sort of rolls away and we see him sort of just lying on this cool car. That was cool. I think the idea of Ron getting motion sickness in the car, and he's like talking about having to swallow it, that made me laugh. Kevin swimming away on Mim's back when they have to evacuate this boat to get away, and he like sort of says, I felt boob on my back, and the boys are sort of like, laughing because they're that immature sort of level. And then we just get this laugh straight away from his friend Lewis's underwear going off because they'd been in the Baywater, and he's like, must have malfunctioned. So that was funny. Ron's French accent performance made me giggle a bit, as well as when he sort of accidentally touches that sedative that's on Margot's hand, and then he like retches and he vomits everywhere, all over the lady with the crown, and then he's tied up and he's still farting and talking about thinking it's coming out both ends. Don't usually like fart humor, but those ones made me laugh. Lewis sort of takes a stance and says, I'm going to challenge myself to do something. And he's like, I'm going to climb through that window. And then we just get these multiple shots of him not being able to do it. That was funny. Kevin finds his laser pen in Margot's sort of secret hideout. And then at the end of the film, he uses it in this car chase and just sort of taking out stuff down the road with explosions. And his dad's like, it's okay, we'll leave a note. I thought that was funny. Mim, at the end, Mim sort of calls Kevin a hero, and he's like really chuffed about it. And he like goes in for a kiss and he gets rejected. That's good. And I really like the end credits. They gave us, the audience, all these updates on where everyone was at after this film. And, you know, this idea of, we start the film off with Kevin failing his oral presentation because it's full of, you know, it's like a remake of the Martian film. And it's sort of like, you know, he still fails it because he actually, even though he actually told the truth this time because of the adventures they go on. The idea of Clancy going to school and calling Travis and staying in touch with him every day, even if she has to use her roommate's phone because her mum still doesn't let her have her phone. And you know, Leo in jail and ripping off his sleeves with his orange jumpsuit. I thought they were all good. I thought they were a good way to close this film. What are some things that didn't stand out or I didn't like? I think there's this scene of Clancy at the start in band practice showing us she's good at music. And she gets this typical pump up from the teacher about how good she is. And they sort of finished it off, their conversation, with this weird coordinated handshake. I thought that was weird from a teacher. And the only other thing, there's this scene, which I think some people probably like, but for me, no good. Kevin's in the bathroom, talking to himself in the mirror. And then he breaks into this dance, which is sort of recorded by the bullies. Not only would the bullying happen in the movie, but also this poor kid in real life, the actor, like, I don't know, it didn't work for me. Apologies for that. Some themes, some ideas. What's this film trying to say? I think there's the idea of growing up, the idea of freedoms and responsibilities and privileges of being a teenager and working that balance between parents and participating in the real world as well. The dangers a bit about social media, the dangers of bullying, as well as like your location data and what that can reveal, because that's how they actually get found out by because of social media. We've got the idea to a family, like respecting each other in your family, admiring each other's quirks and each other's qualities and positives, and teamwork too. You got to work together. Believe in yourself, your own attributes, your own positive things. So I like that as well. What I take away from this film, this is just an interesting fact that I saw. Sadie Stanley, who plays Clancy in this film, she's the voice of Kim Possible from the Disney Channel animated series. I thought that was cool. That gave me a smile. We often have a moment where we go, cool, did we jump on IMDb to check anyone out? Is there anyone that we didn't notice or think we knew? For me, Margot, played by Marlon Ackerman. Such a familiar face. She's in the Rampage film with The Rock. She's in the Harold and Kumar movies. Just been in a whole bunch of stuff. So just a real familiar face for me. Any questions, any ponderings, any ideas for this one for me? I think, my question is, is the admiration for, everyone really likes Margot's cool ninja skills and her battles. And is this sort of like, idolizing her criminal activities and her criminal work? I'm not sure, because it's not like, it doesn't have a clear message. I guess, she wants to step away from it to focus on her family, but the idea of being a cool criminal was sort of pushed a little bit in this film, I guess. And then that leads into, why did Margot give up on her life of crime? What did she gain by doing that? Because what consequences did the criminals in this movie actually face? I think we see that Margot gets that happy family life, and we do see that Leo gets locked up, but I guess it's just meant to be a fun family movie. I'm probably thinking about this too much. The family too, there's a lot of secrets in this family, and are there any times where this is justified? I don't know, I'm not sure. I feel like, as if my wife was a undercover or in witness protection because she was a criminal, I probably want to know, and that's probably something you should be able to trust to your husband too. And then Lewis, I gotta talk about Lewis. There's this moment where his life sort of flashes before his eyes, when he realizes his life's been boring. What's holding Lewis back in reality? Is it his mum? Is it because his mum's so overprotective? Possibly. Poor little Lewis. I felt bad for him. Alright, ready to wrap this up. Give the film a rating out of 5. For me, it really surprised me in the end. I think it's an enjoyable family film. Got a few funny moments, some decent character arcs. Probably recommend this for a rainy day when you sort of need something to entertain the kids, and as long as you're sort of watching it with them too. I don't think this is one that you'd leave for kids to watch by themselves. So giving this a 3 out of 5. Pretty high score from me. We're on socials. We've got Instagram, Facebook, and X, formerly known as Twitter. The question I want to put out there was, does your family have any secrets? Do your family, is there any, have they been part of any witness protection programs or anything that, if it leaked, they got any royal blood or anything like that? I don't know. I'm struggling with this one. This is just meant to be a, sort of coming of age, growing up sort of film. So that's the question for this week. As always, we're back next week. We've got another film from 2020 next week. It's the Indian Hindi language crime thriller called Class of 83. This one's directed by Atul Sabharwal and stars Bobby Deol. So give that one a watch. Join me next week to hear about that one. But as always, thanks for listening along this one, and I'll see you next week.